We have three friends who have entered into a cheesecake eating contest, and the way they determine how much each team gets counted for is to take the average of all the eaters. So you see that, what do we have? Patricia eats 3/8 of a cheesecake, Jeremiah eats 5/6, and Jan eats 1 1/3 cheesecakes. So what's the average? Well, let's talk about averages. Everyone knows how to do averages, really. Let's say you had two tests. Test number 1, you had an 80% as your score. And test number 2, let's say you completely bombed it. You got like a 40%. What's your average score? Well, most people know that it's the one right in the middle. And you can kind of do this in your head. You'd say, okay, my average equals 60%. Well, let's remind ourselves how we're doing this. What you're doing when you find the average is you take 1/2 of test 1 plus test 2. Okay. Now, if you had 3 tests, what you would do is 1/3 of test 1 plus test 2 plus test 3. You simply add up however many things you have and then divide it by the number of things that you have. So that's how you take an average. Now, let's apply it to this problem. We've got 3 fractions to add up. 3/8 plus 5/6 plus 1 1/3, which is super inconvenient. So I'm going to turn 1 1/3 into an improper fraction. I'm going to multiply 3 times the 1 and add it to the 4. Okay, that equals 4/3. Some people don't like doing it that way, and you just add the number 1 to 1/3, and that's fine. But that's how much of a cheesecake Jan ate. So these are the 3 fractions that we're adding. And don't forget, we're taking an average. So that's going to be equal to 1/3 of the sum, because there's 3 people. So now we get to the meat of the problem. I mean, the setup is important. That's a little tricky. But now we also have to think in terms of common denominators. So I'm going to convert all of these fractions to common denominators so I can add them up. And if you think of 8, 6, and 3, those have a common denominator of 24, I think. So I need to multiply this one by a crazy one of 3/3. And the next one, 5/6, I need to multiply by 4/4. And the final one, 4/3, I need to multiply by 8/8. Now the selection of your common denominator is not crucial. Instead of 24, you might have picked 48, or you might have picked 96. Those don't represent wrong answers, they just represent more work. And it's not really the end of the world if you spend an extra minute on a math problem. So I've got 9 24ths here, plus 20 24ths, plus 32 24ths. Okay, and that equals 1/3 times yada 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 61 24ths. Okay, now 61 doesn't divide nicely by 1/3, so I'm just gonna have to say, okay, fine, this is 61 over 72 from the looks of it. 61 72ths. That is the average of all of their eating.